with another video to show you how to make your very first web page. This video and this exercise is to take someone from never having touched anything about making a website before and getting them to the point of not being so mystified and thinking that web pages are magical. This is just supposed to help very super beginners be a little bit more comfortable with what's under the hood with websites. So let's just jump right into it. What I've done here is I have set up a little environment here on my desktop where I have Notepad on the left and I have Internet Explorer on the right. This is the only time that I can condone actually using Internet Explorer for anything other than downloading a copy of Chrome or Firefox, just because it seems easier to just open up the file that I'm creating in Notepad. But what we're going to do first here is talk just a little bit about what is HTML and why do we do it this way. Well, what's the difference here? So when you're working with HTML, HTML is what's known as a markup language. It is not a programming language. Programming language are things like Java, C++, C#, Objective-C, Java Beans, other stuff like that, that you actually use to write programs. They can be integrated into websites. What HTML is, like I said, is a markup language. So a markup language, if you take a look here over in my Notepad, is separated by tags. So when you have a tag, which is, in this case I'm just using the example of the less than, B, and then greater than, which happens to be the opening bold statement in HTML, and then the ending bold statement in HTML. What this does is the browser comes in and starts reading this file, and it starts at the beginning and goes to the end. And so when it comes to this little when it comes to this tag, it knows that, oh, what you want me to know is that after this tag everything in here should be bold. So all this gibberish that I just wrote in here, the browser goes by and says, okay, B, alright, this part is bold and these letters, okay, now it's not bold anymore, keep moving on with the file. Back in the day, like, I started out on a Commodore 64 computer, which I got for Christmas, and I got Frogger and Word Dolphin, I think was the name of the game that I got with it. It was a game where you had to spell words with a dolphin by swimming the dolphin down to the bottom of this tank, and then picking up a sponge that had the beginning of a word in it, and then you had to swim it up to the top where there was the end of a word, and if it spelled the right word, then it went in and you went to the next level. I learned very quickly in that game that the only sponge the dolphin would pick up is the one that was the right letters. So all I would do is just run through all the letters as quickly as I could and bring them up. So there's that for a learning system in an education software. Anyway, when I learned how to do programming in that environment, I used to have to number the lines. So you used to have to say, used to have to start with like line number 1, do something. Line number 2, oops. Then on the next line you'd have line number 2, do something else. And so on and so forth. Well, now one of the problems with this was that if you had the lines 1, 2, 3, 4, yada yada down the line, if you had something later on in the program that came back and referenced one of those earlier lines, go to number 3 or go to number 2. If number 2 changed, or you needed to put something before or before number 2 so that it would change the number, that meant that this was all screwed up. You had to change every reference to number 2. So what people started to do is they started to make these into tens and hundreds and stuff like that, so you'd have more space in between the programs in between the lines, but that's pretty inefficient. So they took a couple of different splits on this. There was the programming languages that became object-oriented, which meant that you could, in the program, create things that are instances of stuff that you could copy and duplicate and add, say there's values to and that sort of stuff. And then markup language, which is where those lines came from, where it was like you read through this thing and then do what these tags say. So it's not technically a programming language. So all of that aside, what we're going to do right now is take and then, sorry, we have the one more couple of little explanations here. You'll hear all these different things like XHTML, DHTML, JavaScript, HTML5, CSS. They're all things that work together to make websites, but they are, some of them are programming languages and some of them are part of the markup. HTML5 is basically just HTML with some new tags in it. And if you try to use those tags in something that you don't say is HTML5 and it's not an HTML5 compatible browser, it just doesn't work, because as it goes by, as the browser goes by and reads those tags, it doesn't know what to do with those things. So some of the new things that are in HTML5 are ways to natively control a video or 3D objects, stuff like that. So it's, once you get HTML down, then you can start moving into those other things. One of the big problems with code, and I've gone over this a bunch of times in class, but I'll say it again here, the learning curve is so steep that you could, from zero, from never having done this before, you could spend upwards of a year working on, well, I mean, you could, depending on your skill level, but, you know, like I said, depending on how quickly you pick things up and how intensely you work on it, you could take up to yeah, like a year to catch everything that you could do, so that you could build something from scratch, and then you can build websites from scratch, and whoop-de-doo, because who knows, there's hundreds of thousands of people who can do that and can do it for cheaper and have no idea how to make good websites, how to make ones that work, and how to make ones that people actually want to use, instead of just throwing one up because, wow, I know how to do that. Anyway, getting back onto my soapbox there. So to actually start beginning coding this website, what we're going to do here in Notepad is just show you how easy this is with just a little bit of text, how to make a simple website. So the first tag that we're going to put into here is we're going to use the less than sign, then HTML, and then greater than. And so the very first thing in this document tells the browser this is a hypertext markup language document. And there's other ones that you need to put in here that are so that it can be compliant and whatnot, but that's not what we're worried about. We're just working on making a simple website just to show that we can do it. So HTML, first tag. We've opened a tag. Now the thing is, every time you open a tag in HTML, you need to close that tag again. And the way you close a tag is you again use the less than symbol, and then a /, and then the same tag. So now in here we can see we've got the open tag of HTML, down a few lines, you can just hit enter and put a few in here, and then we've closed the tag HTML. So now everything in between these two tags the browser knows to treat as HTML. So we're going to go down to the next line under the HTML tag, and we're going to add the next segment of a web page, which is the head. And now this is not the header of a website, not like where you'd see a banner or top navigation or anything like that. This is a section of the website where you can create, you can put descriptions, titles, metadata, stuff that tells the page, tells Google and other search engines what's on the page, and you can also put other programming in here. It's how you set up where you're going to put up your JavaScript and all that sort of stuff. But we're not going to do any of that right now. What we just want to do is we want to give this web page a title. So the way we open this one up, it's another self-explanatory tag. So we put in title. We open up the less than, greater than, And now we've got a title, so now we've got to give this title a web page, or this web page a title. So I'm going to just put in Salt City Strangers. I was born not able to type and talk at the same time. So there we go. So what we've done is we've opened up the tag for title, and then we put in our title, and now in here we can have spaces and all this good stuff. Now we've titled the page Salt City Strangers. This is my self-published comic book, so we can just use this as a quick example. And then / title. So now the browser knows from this tag to this tag is the title of the web page. Now you notice here that I put all of this on the same line. There are some conventions on the way that you're supposed to do this, so you can keep track of your open and close tags, all that sort of stuff. We're not going to worry about that right now. We're just doing what's easy so that we can just get through making this first web page. So now you can see we have a title, and then we are going to go ahead and close the head tag. So another / HEAD. And so now it knows that it's an HTML document. Here starts the head section. This is the start of the title, end of the title, end of the head section, end of the HTML page. So we can go ahead and save this. I'm just going to save it on the desktop. So File, Save As. And like I said, I'm going to put it on the desktop. And now I've got to get rid of this star.txt under file name here at the bottom. So you can just highlight it and then backspace it. Now the main page of a static website, if you're just going to put up a static website like this file, the default name that a web service looks for on your web server is index.html. And so index is the file name, and then .html to designate that it's a hypertext markup language file. And websites, like I said, if you type in www.saltcitystrangers.com, the first two things that the web server looks for is to see if there's either an HTML or index.html or index.php. PHP is another programming language that you can use to enhance your websites. It is something, if you're interested in, that I can get you a few exercises for, but that we're not going to deal with a whole bunch in class with everybody. So anyway, index.html. We're going to save that on the desktop. And now we're going to go over here to the right to this wonderful browser over here by Microsoft, and we're going to open up this file. Now to get this bar right here, if you don't have the file, edit, view, yada yada, right click anywhere on this bar right here, like right next to this little house, just where there's nothing, where there's no button. Right click on it, and then you have a little option here that says menu bar. Make sure that that has a little check mark next to it. Click on menu bar, and then you'll get this little bar here that says file and all this stuff. Then you can click on file and then click on open. Now in here it's asking us to open up the file, so we click on browse and we go to the desktop, and in here you can see we have index. It says it's a Chrome document because Chrome is my default browser, but index, that's the one that we're looking for. Click on that one once and then click on open and then click on OK, and the magic of the internet happens with this blank web page on the right hand side. You can see here in the tab that it actually says Salt City Strangers, which is the title that we put in, so it's working the way it should right now. We've got Salt City Strangers in the title, Salt City Strangers in the tab. We are well on our way. So let's put in some content so I can prove to you that this isn't just a like a LinkedIn profile for a polar bear who's in a blizzard. Under the head tag, so we need to tell the browser that now we're going to be looking at the body of a website. So we have another body. We have another tag in here, which is body. We're going to open up the body tag, and then we can also make sure that we go in and close it down here. Body tag. So you've got this tag at the top, opened body, and then you down here closed body. So this part here in the middle, in between the two body tags, is where we're going to put in all of our content. So in here, first thing that we're going to do is we're actually going to take the body tag and we're going to add an attribute to it. So some tags can have attributes associated with them to say what color they should be, where they are on the screen, what size they are, how they interact with the other elements on the screen. And so for when you change an element like that on a body tag, that means you're changing everything in that website. So that means the entire body of this page, not the site, sorry, the web page, under body, we're going to change the body background color to blue and the text to yellow. So the style tag for background color is BG color. BG color, so we type that and then we hit equals, quote, blue. Now you can put a hex value in here. If you know what a hex value is, that's the numbers that you get. The way it's a 6-digit, well, 6-character number and digit character string that you get that designates the different colors that are possible to be displayed by a computer. The main just web-safe colors all have just their names associated with them. So black, blue, red. So you can just use those if you're trying to just use the colors that are 100% safe on the internet. Even people with like an old Pentium computer would still see the colors if you put them in just blue and red and whatnot, but you're really going to start looking like you have the hot dog on a stick corporate website. We should look at that one, see if it's good or not. It's actually supposed to be a really cool company. Text. That's what we're putting in next. T-E-X-T. So all text on this page equals yellow. It's going to be an awesome color scheme. And so now the body tag has these attributes of BG color equals blue and text equals yellow. So we're going to save this by clicking on File and then clicking on Save. Or you can click on your keyboard, you can hit Control S for the shortcut. Now we're going to come over here to the right, back to Internet Explorer, and we're going to refresh the page, which you can do by hitting F5 on your keyboard, or you can hit this little recycle symbol. This is Internet Explorer 9, so you might see something different. Usually F5 works. So if you click on Internet Explorer and then click F5, wow! Ooh, look at me! In the ocean here. You can just go ahead and move me out of the screen here so that you can see the glorious blue website that you've created. But we don't see any text now because we don't have any text in the page at the moment. So let's do that next. What we're going to do is we're going to create a header tag. So just like you would in a document, this is header 1, so main topic. So just the less than H1 greater than, and then we're going to put in title for the strangers here. Salt City Strangers / H1. So we've opened the H1 tag here, and then we wrote the text, and then we close the tag again. So now we can Control S again, save it, and then refresh the page. Ta-da! Now we have our title up here, and notice how it's fairly big text here. That's because it has a default when you make a header 1 of a larger size font. So, and you can control that. Once again, this can have over here, just like this one did, where it said the body tag, where we said what color and whatnot it should be. You can change this for just this header tag. Let's make another header tag in here. So we're going to make an H2. So a sub bullet to, or a subheader to the top one, and we can put in Utah's List Superhero Team! Exclamation point. Oops. closing the tag. So now we've opened the H2 tag, put in our header, and then we closed the tag. So if we Control S again and then refresh, now you can see this header is just a little bit smaller than this one. And so it'll go, if you go down to H3, 4, I think you can go down to 6 automatically, and then they start all being the same size until you tell it in some sort of style sheet to do it differently. So now we're going to go ahead and put in a paragraph of text. So here's opening a paragraph tag, and I am actually going to open up a new tab here and go get some text from the Salt City Strangers website. At saltcitystrangers.com. Lightning speed here. Chug it, chug it, chug it. Oh man, I can smell the gears grinding here. There we go. So I am just going to go pick up something from the store here for Salt City Strangers #1. This might be choking here because of all the information. I'm trying to run this in Internet Explorer 9. So I'm just highlighting some text here. It doesn't really matter what this is. You can type anything you want. I'm just putting this in here for ease. Pasting it in, and then I'm closing the paragraph tag. It's gone off the side here. Let's see. We'll word wrap. There you go. So now you can see this is all coming here. Click on save. So now we've got the open paragraph tag. We've got the closing paragraph tag. So now when we come over here and we hit refresh, you can see we have all of that text. Now I want you to notice something here. You see how in this text, in the paragraph, right here after evil, and then the team takes on, there's a line break in here. But in this text, on the web page, it goes just all the way across. That is happening on purpose because there's no tags in here in between paragraph and paragraph. The browser has no idea that there's stuff in here. So you can change formatting here to do stuff that is just for you to remember that there's space in between these things, or just to help you keep it in your mind. Keep it straight, keep it organized when you're looking at the code, and then it will come up a different way when people are actually looking at it on the website. So now what I am going to ask you to do is, we talked about the bold tag earlier. So I'm putting this outside of the HTML tag, so it's not going to do anything. But we have the opening bold, and then we have / bold. So I'm guessing you know what would happen to the words in between those two tags. So what I'd like you to do is go ahead and put that somewhere in the text. So maybe around awesomest, the word awesomest in the paragraph, and then save the file, and then on the right refresh your page and see what happens. You can pause the video here and try it out. Okay, so what happened? So I am going to get rid of these down here, and under awesomest I'm going to put tags around that. Be awesomest, and then ending tag B. Save it, refresh, and now awesomest is bolded. Fantastic. So yeah, so now we've got all of those. We've got a lot of the basics in here. So that's a lot of stuff that has to do with text. So next let's talk about putting in an image. So we're going to open up a tag here. So we've got the less than, and then img for image is the way this one opens up, and then src is for source. So image source equals, and then a quote. So kind of like we had up here for the body, the background color being blue. So image source equals, and then quotes. Once again, I'm going to go get a photo. I'm just going to take this picture, I'm going to right click on it and save the picture as on my desktop. Oops. Browse folders, desktop, save. And what I'm going to do is actually, let's see, do they show up right here? Yeah. So I'm going to rename this file to be something just easier for me to remember. IMAGE image. Okay. So I've renamed that file. You can do this with any image on your computer. Just put it in the same directory that the index file is in. So that's important on your web server, but we're going to be talking about during that during the implementation phase. So img src equals quote and then image image dot jpeg. I think that's the kind of file that it is, right? I'm going to check here. Ah, yes, JPG. So JPG, that's the type of file. We'll talk about the differences between, I'll do another video that talks about the difference between JPEGs, GIFs, all that sort of good stuff, and when you can use them. So just for now, we're just using this. Whatever file you got, if it's a GIF, if it's a PNG, whatever kind it is, use it in here. So we've got img src equals image.jpg. I'm going to go back to our strangers page. We should be able to save this, refresh, and ta-da! Now we have our image on the page. Boy, this color scheme is just looking awesome. My comic book could have been one of the coolest .coms of like 2001. So anyway, images, they can have lots of nifty attributes. One of the attributes you can have here is width and height. Width equals, and now you can put in pixels. So I'm going to put in 100 pixels, and then I'm going to put in height. Oops. Since this is a square picture, I'm going to keep it at the aspect ratio. So same thing, width equals colon 100 px colon, and then height equals colon quote 100 px quote. And so now if we save this one, Control S, and then refresh the page, now we've made it itty bitty. Now, cool thing that you can do here is you can actually not have one of the attributes, and you can just, so if you don't want to have height and width, you could just do width, and it will keep the aspect ratio. Or you can screw around with things and you can put height equals, and then you can force it to something else. So 400, make this a rectangle. Control S, and then I refresh, and it stretches it out. But it deforms the picture, it ruins everything in here, so unless you have like a really, really good reason, it's not a great idea. The other thing you can do here is you can actually say width, instead of putting in an amount of pixels, you can put in a percentage. So you can say 50%, Control S, and now the picture will always be half of the screen. So as I make the screen, or make the browser larger and smaller, I get some responsive design here. So yeah, it'll stick with, and you can do that with a lot of different elements. You can do that with some margins, with some, yeah, how big some table parts are and that sort of stuff. I know I'm going to hear people saying, oh, tables. Yes, tables are still important. They can still serve a purpose. So now the other thing that we can do here, oh, the other thing that is really important to have in an image is an alt tag. We have ALT equals quote and then some sort of description of the image. So the Salt City Strangers team cover of the first issue. And there's two reasons for this. So now the alt here is the Salt City Strangers team cover of the first issue. And I'll go ahead and save this again, Control S, and then refresh. And now you'll see when I put my mouse over it, you see a little pop-up that comes up that says the exact wording that I put in here. But also, if someone is sight impaired and they're using a screen reader to come through a website, the screen reader starts at the top and then just goes down and reads. And if you don't have an alt tag on an image, they won't know that an image has been passed. There's nothing else to say that there's an image there. So alt tags are really important, and they also get used in other programming ways. Like you can say the alt tag is always what what shows up underneath the photo as a caption, something to that effect. But alt is an accessibility issue, and it's not recognized a lot by people because it's time consuming and it's not used by the majority of website users, but for the people who that works for, it is really important for them. Also, if you are going to have a company in the UK, it is the law that you have to have alt tags on your images. So anyway, just letting you know that that is super important to have on there. Don't start bad habits. Just have the great habits from this. Make sure you have alt tags in your image tags. So now we're going to do one other thing. We're going to have a link. So we're going to start with a link, the magic of the interweb, linking two pages with each other. So the way you open up a link tag is you start with the less than, and then it's the letter A, as in apple, and then a space, and then href, H-R-E-F. And so that's hypertext reference. So it says, I'm referencing another website, so href equals, quote, and you can have this point to anywhere. So we'll have this point to Google. http://www.google.com. End quote. Greater than. So now we've opened the tag. So the A is the tag, and then the href is the attribute that we've changed, that we've said where it's going to go in a where it's going to show up, where it's going to link to. So now we actually have to put the text in after this tag to actually have something to click on to link. So we're going to just put this link goes to Google. And then we close the A tag. So we bust out the less than again, /A, greater than. So now all the text in between these two tags will be a link. So we'll save this again, Control S, refresh the page, and oh wow, blue text on a blue background. This is amazing. That is so cool. You know what, to be able to see this better, I am going to change the background color up here to black. So I changed that, refresh. That's better. Now you can see it. Ah, this website is looking awesome. It actually looks a lot like the most awesomest website in the world. Don't go look at that website. It's if you have very sensitive, yeah, it's a guy from Utah, got very famous, wrote a book. Go there at your own risk. So this link goes to Google, but you notice it's right next to this image. It's not on the next line like it is over here. So I'll show you one thing you can use to quickly move something like that to the next line, it's this tag. It's one of my favorites. It is the line break. So you put up less than, BR for break, forward slash, or space, forward slash, then greater than, save, and then refresh. And you see now it's a soft return where it's gone to the next line. And as a matter of fact, you can double these up. Control-C-V. Yeah, I've got 2 of them in there now. You can click Control-S, and you see it move down one whole line. And it doesn't. This link does in fact go to Google.com. I'll bet they're really happy that I linked to them. So I just hit back to go back, and now you'll also notice that it's not blue anymore, that this link is purple. This is the color scheme that is the default on the internet to say something is clickable, it's blue with an underline, something is clickable but you've been there before, that is purple with an underline. So next, how do you make the image clickable? That's always the next step. So, or the next question. So what we are going to do is, well, first off, I'm just going to let you try to figure it out first. What do you think needs to happen to make the image clickable? You can pause the video here and try something. Okay, how'd it go? So easily you can take the very beginning of this tag, the ahref, cut it, put it in front of the image. I'm just going to add a couple of spaces here so I see what I'm doing. Paste it back in, save, Control-S, refresh, ta-da! Now the whole image is clickable. And goes to Google. Amazing. So now the next thing that I get asked a lot is how to get rid of the border on the link here, because now we've got this border that's on the image and I don't really want that there. So the first thing that I do on this one is under image, there, how we have the source, we have the width and the alt and whatnot, we can put something in here that is a style. So since we have width, alt, now we can put in style, S-T-Y-L-E. There's lots of really cool styles and lots of styles that you can use for lots of different things. And this is where cascading style sheets come in. But what we're doing here is what's called an inline style. So the style is only affecting this one image tag. So the style that we're going to have on here is we are going to have border. And so we're going to, let's see, it's border, oh man, of course I'm going to forget it while we're doing this. Well, this is a good learning experience here. What we're going to go do is open up a new tab in Internet Explorer, and we're going to go look at WC3 schools. Oh, and it's searching through Bing. Wonderful. And it's taking a long time. And Internet Explorer is not working. So let's just go to Google. Boy, Bing, you had one chance. You had one job, and you blew it. So we're going to look up WC3 schools. Online web tutorials. This place is wonderful. It has thousands of HTML tutorials, CSS tutorials, PHP, that sort of stuff. And so I usually go over here and look for search, and we look up border style. B-O-R-D-E-R. Did I write border? Ah! I always write border like a pirate boarding another ship here. So yeah, style, you need to spell this stuff right. The tags you need to spell right. If you're doing stuff that you're setting up things for, you, as long as you misspell them consistently the same way. So the first thing that came up here, it shows border style, and so I believe that's what it is. It's border dash styles. border-style colon. And see, we can say solid or we can say dotted, all sorts of stuff in here. Cool thing about these pages is it'll give you a little try it yourself place. So you can actually click on this and it'll do the same thing we're doing right here. It gives you the code over here and a preview window over here so you can see what's going on. But under here, definition and usage, this will tell you all the different stuff that you can do. So if you do border-style colon dotted, solid, double, dash, all that sort of stuff, all of those different things are things that you can put in. Same with these values. You can say none, hidden, dotted, dashed, solid. So what we want over here is to say style equals quote border dash style quote colon, and we want to put none, N-O-N-E, and then quote. So if we do that and Control S, and we go back to our tab that has our fancy website in here, and then click on refresh. Now you can see the border is gone, but the image is still in fact clickable. And goes to Google. Woo! Super awesome. And now you've made a web page. You made a super awesome web page. Looks like it was from GeoCities. Which was an amazing service back in like 1999 if you wanted to create. It was like the WordPress of the day. It's run by Yahoo and it had a lot more ads on it. It's crazy stuff. So anyway, you've created a website. That's all it takes is to do a static website. We'll bring back. Let's go back to this here. So you've created a website, an amazing one, like I said. And so now it's completely demystified. There's nothing all that amazing about what a website is and how easy it is to make one. Granted, there's a ton of things to know from here until you're a developer at Amazon, but once again, that's not the point of this class. The point of this class is to get you comfortable with working with this stuff, so that when you go into some sort of content management system, when you go in and click the button that says HTML, now when you see this HTML code, you're not going to be so intimidated. This is all that you're doing is just creating this stuff in a program that makes this page for you. So, thank you for watching this video and getting through the exercise. If you have any questions about this, please feel free to contact me. And yeah, if there's anything else that I can do on this, let me know. If you have suggestions for videos or for this, or if I said something wrong or spelled something wrong, please let me know. I'd be happy to annotate this and fix it up for you. But anyway, thanks a lot, and we will talk to you soon.